So, you've likely seen the news coming out of Ramban and Jammu and Kashmir recently. Pretty intense rainfall.
Yes, absolutely tragic. Casualties, damage to roads and homes, people having to move out quickly.
And the triggers were identified as cloudbursts, landslides, and flash floods. So today, let's do a deep dive into these, what they are, what causes them.
And their impact, especially here in India. Really crucial stuff, particularly for anyone following current events for the UPSC exams, geography and disaster management sections especially.
Definitely. Let's start with cloudbursts. What exactly defines one?
Okay, so a cloudburst is very intense rainfall, but it's incredibly localized. We're talking over 10 centimeters of rain. That's almost 4 inches in less than an hour.
Wow, 10 centimeters in an hour.
Yes, and usually concentrated in a pretty small area, maybe around 10 square kilometers or so. Often comes with hail and thunder, too. Very common, relatively speaking, in the Himalayas.
And that intensity in a small area makes them incredibly dangerous, I imagine. Hard to see coming.
Exactly. That sudden, massive downpour is hard to predict precisely where it'll hit. It leads almost immediately to, well, flash floods, and it can easily trigger landslides on saturated slopes.
Makes sense. What causes such intense, localized rain? What are the mechanics behind it?
There are a few key factors. One big one is orographic lifting. That's when moist air gets pushed up rapidly by mountains.
Like hitting a wall and going up?
Pretty much. As it rises fast, it cools very quickly, and the moisture condenses and falls as extremely heavy rain. Then there are also strong upward air currents, updrafts, within big storm clouds.
Okay.
These updrafts can hold huge amounts of water, like larger raindrops, high up. When those currents suddenly weaken, all that water just falls out at once.
A sudden release. And I guess the monsoon plays a role here in India.
Oh, definitely. Those monsoon clouds carrying loads of moisture from the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea travel north. When they hit the Himalayan barrier.
Orographic lifting again.
Right. That interaction forces the moisture out, sometimes at rates up to 75 millimeters per hour. We've seen devastating examples recently, like in Himachal Pradesh this year, 2024, and Uttarakhand back in 2021.
Yeah, those cause terrible floods and landslides. Important case studies, as you said, for UPSC prep.
Absolutely. Loss of life, infrastructure wiped out.
Yeah,
It highlights the power of these events.
Which brings us to landslides. These often seem to follow cloudbursts or heavy rain. What's the basic definition?
Simply put, a landslide is the movement of rock, soil, or debris down a slope, pulled by gravity. It's a type of mass wasting. The ground essentially gives way.
And heavy rain is a major trigger.
One of the biggest. It saturates the ground, makes it heavier, reduces friction, and just destabilizes the whole slope. Earthquakes are another natural trigger, shaking things loose. Even just slow water seepage can weaken slopes over time.
But it's not always just nature, is it? Human activities contribute too.
Very much so. Deforestation is a huge factor. Tree roots really help bind soil together on slopes. You remove the trees, you increase the risk.
And construction.
Yes, things like cutting into hillsides for roads or buildings without proper assessment or engineering can seriously destabilize slopes. Of course, the geology matters too, the type of soil, how steep the terrain is.
India has quite a few vulnerable areas, right?
It does. About 12.6% of India's landmass is prone to landslides. We're talking the Northeast Himalayas, the Northwest Himalayas, the Western Ghats, Konkan Hills, even parts of the Eastern Ghats.
And we've seen terrible examples like Wayanad in Kerala recently, and Kedarnath in 2013 was catastrophic.
Kedarnath was devastating. Over 5,700 deaths linked to the floods and landslides triggered by intense rain. Jammu in 2021 was another major event linked to heavy rain and possibly a glacier burst.
So the heavy rain, the unstable slopes, it all flows, quite literally, into the risk of flash floods. How are they distinct from, say, river flooding?
The key is speed and localization. Flash floods are sudden, rapid increases in water levels. They usually happen within 6 hours, often much less, of the intense rainfall that causes them.
6 hours? That's incredibly fast.
It is. The main cause is simply rainfall that's too intense for the ground to absorb or the rivers and drainage systems to carry away quickly enough. It overwhelms the system.
The ground just can't soak it up fast enough.
Exactly. But there can be other causes too. Rapid snowmelt can do it. Dam or levee failures releasing a sudden surge of water. Even blockages in rivers caused by ice or debris jams. Glacial lake outbursts, GLOFs, are another potential trigger in mountain areas.
And cities make it worse.
Oh, definitely. Urbanization means more concrete, more asphalt, what we call impervious surfaces. Water can't soak in, so it just runs off immediately, increasing the volume and speed of the floodwaters.
We saw that in Mumbai back in 2005, right? And Himachal last year, Uttarakhand in 2013 too.
Yes, all examples where intense rainfall led to rapid, destructive flooding, causing huge losses.
It really paints a picture of interconnected hazards, doesn't it? A cloudburst hits, saturates the ground, potentially triggers landslides.
Which can then dump debris into rivers, possibly blocking them or adding volume, contributing to or worsening flash floods downstream.
Understanding that whole cascade is vital, especially for those UPSC aspirants looking at geography, environment, and disaster management. These regions, the Himalayas, the Western Ghats, they're clearly very vulnerable.
They are. And these extreme events seem to be happening more frequently, or at least we're more aware of their impact.
Which leads to a crucial closing thought. Given this trend, what are the most effective long-term strategies we need for mitigation and preparedness in these really vulnerable areas? Something important to think about.
A very important question indeed.
Well, hopefully this deep dive has shed some light on cloudbursts, landslides, and flash floods. If you found it useful, please do like, subscribe, and feel free to comment with any other questions you might have.
And just to note, the information we discussed today draws heavily from reporting in the Indian Express.